So,
Okay.
my name is Ibrahim Mustafa, and I believe in you, and I believe in the power of your dreams, and I believe that no matter what, whatever you want to do in life is possible. And today, in the Changemakers Hangouts, we have one of the greatest. He's from Ghana, but now is with the U.S. Army, and as you can see, he used to be an Inactus member. I don't know whether he's still at the alumni, but I just believe in him, and I believe that his story alone can help inspire you. So all I just want to do is to welcome my good brother, Konlan James Namka. Welcome, brother.
Oh, thank you, senior staff. I hope it's okay. I call you senior staff.
It's fine. I'm okay with that. Okay with
All
that.
right. Thanks very much, senior staff, for giving me this opportunity.
Right.
I think holding all other factors constant, I think is people like you that rather deserve the praise. Some of us, I think right now we are qualified to be called what I say like runaways.
Yeah.
Right now we are runaways. I think the best and like most important change makers are those who do not try to run away, and they stay and try to actually physically involve themselves and create change programs that uplift other people. So someone like me, when I look back, I don't see myself a lot as a change maker like people like yourself. I think you guys are the real heroes, and you deserve praise.
Right. So I think yes, you are right, and in one way, but the other thing is that sometimes you need to move away to be able to make a difference back home. So,
yeah.
And I believe like the global village, we are all global citizens, and wherever you find yourself, and just like we are going to interview you, you have a story. And that story, if it inspires people, it simply means that you've created change. So it's not like the physical activity, but the lifestyle. Because there are people who don't even still know me, but just on Facebook, they know me and I inspire them. So it's just about where you are and what you do. Just like now you are called to duty and you are going to represent a group of people. And that is the change you are making. So we appreciate that, and I believe that that is just the way to go. So in a bit to our viewers, who is Konlan? And how did the journey start? Now you are a US Army soldier. I'm afraid of soldiers, so you can see I'm humble. Right. Okay.
I will start by saying, don't be afraid of soldiers. Soldiers are there. They are there to serve.
Great.
Unfortunately, soldiers have that image of, stressing people back home.
Great.
That is rather unfortunate, because soldiers are actually supposed to serve, not scare or intimidate people.
Sure.
But in short, Konlan Namka is actually my real birth name.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring the James in yet. If you want this of the James, I will tell you later.
King James.
Konlan Namka is actually my real birth name.
Wow.
And as to who I am, I would say I'm a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army, and I've been in the Army for about 5 years and 6 months now.
Wow.
And that's about it. I'm a really humble guy. I don't like to go deep into stuff that are, let me say, unnecessary. So I will just leave it at that for now. As the conversation goes on, I think by the time we are through with this conversation, viewers would have actually gotten to know me, because I'll break everything down to the little.
That's right. That's right. So it's been great knowing you. And so tell us a bit of how the journey started back at home. Because when you were an actress presenter, you know, you're a good presenter. That like no one can deny that. And but before even the presentation, before you came together, like and it's an actress, and I got to meet you, you had a wonderful story of how you started, how things were even before Enactus times. And it was inspirational. Even though that time I could not tell you all of you that your stories are inspirational, but it was like something that gave the group hope that these are people who at a point were broken, but they can make a difference. So how did it start?
It all started somewhere August of 1988 when the little me was born.
Wow.
In a completely remote village that cannot be found on the map of Ghana. Even we are Ghanaians.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So growing up in the village, it was tough, as everyone knows how villages in Ghana, even throughout the whole of Africa, is. Fortunately for me, my dad moved to Tamale. Then he brought us, and he sent, it was myself, one of my brothers, and one of my sisters, and one of my mothers, because my dad had 3 wives at some point. Yeah, so he sent us to Damango, and I started Damango Presby Primary School. So we were there for 4 years. But then things got tough because it was just kids living with their mom, and we had to farm to feed ourselves and go to school. So there were times we had to get up and go to farm and do something small, get back to the house, then go to school.
Wow.
It got really tough. So at some point, my dad realized that the best thing was to bring us back to Tamale where he was. So we came back to Tamale, and the journey started. First, Chogu Demonstration Primary School, that was P6. So from Chogu Demonstration Primary to Chogu Demonstration Junior High, completed in 2005. Went to Bisco. Bisco was a really interesting place.
Well, I think Biscans will be proud of you now. So all the Biscans will watch, and all of my friends who are Biscans, and only that, you know, Bisco people will be jealous.
Those who knew me in Bisco actually will not be surprised when they see me in military uniform, because I was part of the cadet in Bisco, and in my final year, I was the second in command.
James.
I was second in command of the cadet in Bisco, and it was really interesting. And while in Bisco, one guy came. We were calling him Professor. He came and he formed an acting group, which I took part of the acting. So I developed some interest in acting, and I had a friend, Alex Namasa. He was good with computers, like cyber. So I became really good friends with him, and we decided to do our own movie. Unfortunately, we were not able to enter the market, but we did the movie, we shot, we edited, we finished it. We just were not able to sell. Then after that, I had another friend, the one that was my commander and I was second in command. He wrote a movie in Dagbani. He was in Brudiba. So we did that movie too. Unfortunately, we were not able to enter the market. Then myself and we are related in a way. He's a distant family member. He's called Ben. We decided that we were going to form our own group. We called it Talent Hunters.
Wow.
And the idea was to get talented young guys in music and dance and get them to do competitions in dancing and music. And then we will record it like a movie, and then we'll enter the market like that. So
Great.
we wrote the script together, myself and him. Then we set on to look for sponsors. So Diamana,
Yeah, well, okay. Wow.
we even got to his office and he wasn't there several times. Then one day we met DJ Parara,
Okay.
who also completed disco. So
This
we
go.
thought, we know this dude, he's going to help us. But when we spoke to Parara, we realized that nah, it was a dead dream. So
Wow.
we came back home and we decided that, okay, we have to raise funds on our own to do this. And to raise the funds, Ben, his parents were, I would say, well-to-do. They are well-to-do.
Right.
So he was able to put something small on the table, but I wasn't able. I couldn't
Wow.
contribute anything. So we were not able to move forward. So I, in a way, abandoned the movie dream and said that, okay, I'm going to do music. Yeah,
Wow.
then through the music, I met this guy, Bauli.
Okay.
He's one of the artists, top
Yes.
artists in Tamale now.
Yeah.
So through Bauli, I met Tarambia,
Okay.
and I met DJ Oja.
Oja.
Yeah, we are close friends. We still talk even up to
Wow.
now. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So
So
in Oja,
big ups to Oja.
yeah, Oja did really well to get me to record like demos. I recorded like 3, but then there was SKY2 who was way better than me. That's another
Yeah.
good friend too.
Yeah.
And SKY and his brother Sly.
Slide.
Then there Double T too. So in the camp was good. But then I applied to T-Poly and got admission. And when I started schooling in T-Poly, it changed everything.
Great. Great.
Because when I got to first year, I realized that, okay, everyone is forming group discussions to help other people pass. So I also said, okay, we can form a group. And there was this intelligent guy in the final year. His name was Aziz. So one of my friends knew him and invited him to come and teach us. And the advice he was giving us was good. I liked him and I was like, damn, I want to be like this guy.
Great.
So I decided that, okay, I will be leading my group in group discussions. So in the process of leading my group, it took a lot of time because I had to learn before I can help others to understand.
Yeah.
So that took away the amount of time I could spend in the studio.
Wow.
So the music side just kind of slowly went down because the education side took up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when it took up, I realized there was value in it. So when we got to second year and first years came, they formed a group and my friend invited me to come and lead them. And I went and it was like we clicked. There was so much chemistry that they liked the way I was presenting things, and I liked the way they respected me and paid attention to how I presented things. And it was a learning process for me, as well as a motivation for me to actually reevaluate my life. And I realized that I only drive happiness when I'm helping other people.
Great.
So if I'm put in a position where I can't help other people, there's no way I feel happy about it. So second year getting to third year, Chidima, I believe you remember her.
Chidima.
Yeah. Chidima came to me and was like, oh, James, you know, we do group discussion together, and the way you explain things, I think you're good. This Inactus, this is what we do, and I think if you come, it will really help us. And I was like, oh, Chidi, I get you, my Oyibo friend, but this is the thing. I don't like losing, so if I come, I want to win whatever competition we go in. And she said it's not impossible because the group had already placed, was it second and third before? So they know exactly what they are doing. They just need more people to boost them to get to the top. I was like, okay, you got it. I will join. And that was it. That's how I joined Inactus.
Wow.
And when I joined Inactus, I would say public presentation wise, even right now, I'm kind of a shy person secretly. So when I'm in front of crowd, sometimes it gets the best of me. So to get the confidence to memorize stuff and present was really tough for me because I'm not that person. Wow. I like to do things practically, understand things and explain them instead of memorize things and present. So when I came and met you, actually it was you that brought my confidence up when it came to speaking in public. Wow. You were the one that even gave me strategy on how to memorize my script and how to say it to hit the emotional points and to hit like, you explained it as in, if I remember vividly, you said when you are talking to people, like there's points that people pay attention to, and there's like some inflection you have to put. Wow. If not, you'll be speaking in like a straight line, and majority of what you are saying will be lost in the conversation. Wow. Because people listen in base, they respect full stops, even when you're talking.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you explain those things to me, I realized that, okay, it means I need to take my time, sentence after sentence. Respect the emotions in the script and stuff. And so I would say that was the kicker. And we went to the competition and you were our coach. Wow. And we won. And it changed a lot for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that compliment. I appreciate that. That's quite a story, and it's emotional because you did a lot of things in your life. Like you feel like, and that is the point we're trying to drive at on this Change Makers program, is to let people know that if you try one thing and it's not working, it will not mean that that is the only thing you can do. Because you move from acting. You acted movies that didn't work. You left acting, went into music. Charlie, SKY. As double T will put it, Karapuli. Right. But you still climb forward. And once you climbed, you realize that you can do more. Even though you felt that you weren't good in a presentation, but you were one of the best presenters because you were determined. And that was what I like about you. You were principled, one, and you were determined to do whatever it was. So you just needed a push. And at the end of the day, we all saw what happened at the national symposium, where you actually like put the principles together and you made even judges cry. People like grown men, they were crying, they're sitting down, and they had to give you the, like unanimously, they have no way than to give you that. And that's the determination we want. So even though from failure, movie failure, and started winning during your Inactus period. And that is fantastic. So how is it all in terms of now where you are? What are the lessons from all the things that you did that Kadipuli didn't work now to the US Army? And that is a milestone, to be frank. So how do you feel? How do you think like?
Yes, before I get to how I actually feel,
Right.
I would like to talk about the background a little bit because it's funny and it's
Yes.
weird, and not everyone gets lucky like I got.
Wow.
So, like I said about teaching like our genius in Tripoli.
Yeah.
So I made a lot of friends teaching those guys, and I was just helping for free. But there were times they would just come together and they will contribute something and give to me because I was helping them learn.
Yeah.
And it was really good. It was a lot of help for me because back in Tripoli, even handouts was a really big problem for me.
Wow.
Chidima, there was another friend, mother. She also came to the US. They used to help me buy books most of the time because I couldn't afford handouts.
Wow.
That's how tough it was. Yeah.
Hey.
But one of them I used to call my slave, and because of that, I forgot his real name. Some people came around and were doing this visa lottery stuff. I had no idea about it. So he just saw me passing. He called me and was like, "Oh, my slave, you're a good teacher. Come and do it so that if you win and go to America, you remember me."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, my slave, I don't have money to do this, so you will have to pay for me because you're my slave. So you work for me."
Wow.
he, he
Wow.
laughed and told me, "Oh, but it's free. You just have to fill this paper and they will take a picture of you."
Wow.
And that was what happened. Fast forward to 2013, when we were completing Tripoli and we were doing national service. And through Inactus and the connections we had with the Share Butter project,
Yeah.
I got my service with Starshare, which
Yeah.
at the time was exporting share butter.
Yes.
And we had to go from village to village on motorbikes to convince women. I would say best job of my life so far,
Wow.
because when you get to the local communities and see hardworking women struggling to put food on the table for their kids, struggling to get school fees for their kids, it was so touching. Like I had constant problems with my CEO because of it, because I saw it as the women were doing all the work, yet they were the ones less paid in the share butter supply chain, because they pick the nuts, they process it, and we were even helping them process it to butter. So they do all the hard work, and other people somewhere in Netherlands, in France, in Denmark, in the US were benefiting, while our women who were doing the real work on the ground were just getting peanuts. So that created a conflict in my head. I couldn't put, like, I couldn't understand why it is so. So I used to go to work and tell the women, if they come and tell you this price, don't agree. Force them force them to send the price up. So in one of the communities, we went to do our share butter business, and I got a call, and it was from the embassy. They said, "Oh, you won the diversity visa lottery. This is next step to take." I was like, "Diversity visa lottery? What is that?" I had even forgotten. But
Um,
I told a couple of friends, and most of them said, "Nah, it's a scam." They told me it was a scam, and I was like, I'm a very pragmatic person. I was
yeah.
like, okay, if it's a scam, if it is a scam, excuse me, I would rather follow it to nothing, to get cheated, than to just rubbish it as a scam. So
Wow.
I said, nah, I'll pursue this and see where it takes me. So
Right.
I pursued it and went through the process. And lo and behold, it was real and not a scam.
Wow.
And
wow.
I found myself in New York, confused as hell. Yeah, I came through JFK. I was really confused as hell. My first experience, when I landed in New York, I had about $150 left on. Yeah. So, and I was going to get a taxi from the airport to the home of the one that was receiving me. So the taxi driver robbed me. Yeah, that was my first experience in America. The taxi driver robbed me. He charged me $200, and I didn't know. So I was like, I don't even have $200. I have only 150. You know, where we come from, people see us as like corrupt and dubious people, but to some extent, we are more honest than most other places. So I thought it was an honest conversation I was having with him, not knowing he saw me as an opportunity to make money.
that is New York.
Yeah, we back then. He just started talking about Real Madrid, Manchester United, made me comfortable, and took my $150. Then I got to where I was going, and they told me, oh, the fare is like maximum $45. So how come you paid 150? Yeah. But then it was too late. I realized, okay, I'm in for trouble if this is what New York is. Yeah, and that was my first experience. Then we moved to the real trouble. And I hope people who will get to work this will understand. And I would say cut their family members a slack, because most people don't understand how abroad really is. They think when people come, it's very easy. They make money and they get rich. But that's not the situation on the ground. So when I got to New York, it took me about 6-7 months to get my first job.
Wow.
And while I was unemployed, this is what I'm grateful for. The family that received me were really good people. I had a place to sleep. I didn't have to sleep outside. I didn't have to pay rent. I had food to eat, quantities. Yeah, so that 6 months period, there was a point I felt like, no, I want to go back home, because when I was home, I was happy with what I was doing, even though I wasn't having money. If I'm here, I have to be fully dependent on someone, a full-grown man, fully dependent on another person. I was like, no, this is not what my father raised me to be.
Wow.
So, yeah, Chakankuli. Chakankuli.
Wow. Wow. Quite an interesting.
I almost gave up, but the family was really good to me. The man, he gave me advice every now and then. Then about 6-7 months in, I finally came to the realization that me and my T policers were nothing. They couldn't get me a job. So I had to find a different way. And he registered some course for me. It was about 2-3 weeks. And I got certifications in security. And my first job was in security. And in Tamale, I think we will call it watchman. Yeah. Yep. I was a watchman. So when I got that job, I was happy. I thought everything was going to be okay. And they said they were paying me $8 an hour. The $8 an hour, I was so excited. I was like, yes, I'm going to be rich. You know, in my little mind, I took the $8 an hour and looked at, okay, if I'm taking $8 an hour and I'm working at least 8 hours a day, or if I get overtime and get like 10 hours a day, then I just multiply it and I convert it into this. Yeah, I was happy. I forgot that that money is in New York. It's not in Ghana.
Wow.
So when I got my first paycheck, it was $400. And this is how I spent the $400. I took 200 and sent to my parents back home.
Wow.
Yeah, that was what I did. And the 200 that was left, I was there and I calculated, okay, I take the train every day. This is the amount I need for the train. By the time I finished calculating, I realized that the whole 200 left was owing and it couldn't take me to my next paycheck. And I had already sent 200 to my parents. I was like, this cannot continue. And I had a friend I met, Parkwesi, and he also came fresh, and we were doing the same job. Where he was living, they asked him for rent. And his contribution towards the rent was like $450. I was like, my people are not asking me for rent. But if they ask me for rent, that means the whole 400 is gone. I quickly realized that that job wasn't good enough. So I said, okay, it's time to get a second job.
Right.
So I was in the process of looking for the second job when I met an army recruiter at a train. He spoke to me and said, okay, this is the United States Army. We are the best army in the world. And if you like what you see, trust me, you can be this in less than 3 months. I was like, what? In less than 3 months? What are you talking about? He was like, oh, this is my card. It has the address to my office. Wow. If you want to consider it, you come there. I was like, can you just answer my questions like right now instead of me coming to your office later? He was like, okay, what questions do you have? I can answer your questions. I was like, so if I join the army, how much am I going to be paid? That was my first question. And honestly, he told me a lie. Yeah, he told me, oh, your family is back home. You're going to get family separation pay, which is like $200. That aside, you're going to be getting allowance for clothing. You're going to be getting allowance for food, and you're going to have your base pay. And when you go to basic training, by the time you finish in 3 months, you're going to have about $10,000 in your bank account. I was like, 10,000.
Let's go.
I was like, $10,000. I don't have any idea what 10,000 can do in life right now and for my family. Sign me up. He was like, you have to come to my office and take some tests. I went home that day. I stopped looking for the second job.
Wow.
The next day, I went and took the exams and passed. And I thought, oh, after passing the exams, that was it. So I passed the exams. He was like, oh, you did well. This was trial exams. It gives me the impression that you can pass the real one. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
I didn't take it to be a big deal. I just followed him. He did the paperwork, and there was even some background checks they were supposed to do, and to convert my TPLA transcripts into evaluate it and translate it to the American system to see where I will fit in. And the cost of it, the total was like $600. I honestly didn't have money for it. and the recruiter paid for me.
Wow.
I was like, how
Wow.
am I getting all these favors? Like, I don't know this guy anywhere. All he wants is for me to join the army, and he's spending his own money to process my paperwork. I was like, damn, this guy, he was generous. I was happy. He did the paperwork, gave me date. I went and took the real exams, and God's willing, I passed. And that was it. I shipped to basic training. 3 months later, I passed out as a U.S. Army soldier, and my Tripoli transcripts helped a bit because instead of starting from E1, I started from PFC, which is E3. So it was something. I think it was about $300 bump in the pay between E1 and E3. Yeah, so it was good, and that was it. I became a soldier, and they shipped me to where I am right now. We call it the Great Place, Fort Hood. It is the biggest army base in the U.S.
Wow.
There's about 40,000 soldiers or 50,000 soldiers on Fort Hood.
Nobula. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So
great.
That was it. And so far, to be honest, it came with its challenges, but I would say so far I'm satisfied. It's been under 6 years, and I've made staff sergeant already. That's very quick.
Staff sergeant, a salute. Wow.
That is relatively very quick. Not everyone makes E6 in 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've gotten the opportunity to do a lot of cool stuff to boost my confidence. So I must say right now, even if it is false confidence, is up here. Yeah, because I've had to do airborne. I did air assault, airborne, jumping out of planes with parachutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's really cool and dangerous to do, but it was part of my job to do. And I got my expert infantry badge, and I must say it's been good.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So
Congrats.
this is the background to the US. Now the lessons, there are so many lessons. To start with this uniform, at a young age, my dad had a habit of asking, "Oh, what do you want to be in future? What do you want to be in future?" And for some reason, I was telling him I want to be a soldier.
Wow.
And that was as a result of, how people respect the army in Ghana.
Yeah.
I was looking at it, I saw it as something, I was like, damn, all this respect, I want to be respected too. So I did scout at a young age, and in Bisco, I did cadet, became one of the commanders. When I completed in 2008, I tried to join the Ghana Armed Forces. And this is the sad story. They took us to the sports stadium that was built in 2008.
Okay.
They took us there. My brother, I'm telling you, this was in 2009. We were supposed to do a race for them to pick. And I had to do this race barefoot because I didn't have running shoes. I did the race barefoot. And it was like almost 30 people. And I came in like, was it 4th or 5th? But these soldiers, they told me I was too weak to join the army.
Wow.
Because that time I was skinny. I was relatively very young. I think I was like 21 back then. Very, very, very young at that age. That's how I see it. And I'm not someone with a big body too. So they told me I was too weak at that time to join the army. So I went back home, bruised, hurt, annoyed, pissed off.
Deported recruits.
Yeah, but here I am today. So things happen. A lot of things. A lot of
So,
things happen.
so you were denied entry into Ghana Army,
Yep.
and now you are in the U.S. Army.
Yep.
Wow, wow, wow. So that is quite inspirational. Congrats on all the achievements. And I just, with determination and your focus, I still know you have other dreams that you want to accomplish. And I believe that you are going to make that possible. So being there, like in terms of, because what we do is that we watch US Army or training programs whereby you are in the water, you will see SEAL teams, SEAL team six
SEAL Team
or
6.
team six, and
Yeah.
all we just see about their giddy giddy. So what is the discipline like in terms of like, because we have normal discipline and your discipline, how can it relate to business?
I would say for this short time in the army, but my experience and my background in marketing management, even currently I'm a student as well as in the army. I'm trying to finish my degree. I don't want to leave it hanging.
Great.
I've realized that most of the models that are used in marketing in terms of fighting competition and the decision-making process, they are actually derived from the army.
Okay.
And specifically the US Army.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I looked at it, and the way the army is structured in the US is completely different from how it is structured in Ghana. And the focus is different. You know how we focus on strength in Ghana. Here, the focus is here.
Yeah.
The focus is on intelligence, how mentally strong and resilient you can be. Because when you are facing adversities, it doesn't matter how physically strong you are.
Yeah.
It's your mental strength that takes you through.
Yeah.
So the focus is on mental strength. Discipline-wise, yes, there's discipline, but it's relative. I would say Ghana Army is more disciplined because of the force. Here you have, I would say you have rights. No one forces you to do anything. You have to understand the consequences of not doing certain things and decide to do it or not do it. You see, that's their level of discipline. It stems from not group level, but from the individual level. They build up from the individual level. You have your tax and performance standards.
Yeah.
They want you to perform up to the standard operating procedures. So when they talked about lockdowns and soldiers were in Ghana beating people and stuff, I was like, what the hell? Here you cannot touch anyone like that. They will jail you. They don't care who you are. Yeah. So soldiers are actually not allowed to go around beating people.
Wait.
You see, you cannot do that here. So it's different. It has its ups and downs. And here, like, they really care about developing you from your personal life, your family life, everything about you. They develop you as a whole. You see, I don't have details of how the Ghana Army actually handled soldiers. But here, anything you can think of that will affect soldiers, like mental health issues. We have full departments dedicated to that. We have soldier lifelong learning programs. If we have full departments dedicated to education and helping soldiers continue school and get their degrees and study whatever fields they enjoy studying or they feel like studying. They have substance abuse programs, like if you are an alcoholic, they have full departments dedicated to helping. They have full departments dedicated to just counseling soldiers. If you have any issue, it could be financial issue, it could be issues in marriage, in family. If you have any issue, there are departments dedicated. So it's like a whole universe of its own, and they anticipate problems people face and they try to tackle them.
Great.
Yeah,
Wow, that's powerful.
but like SEAL Team 6, honestly, I don't know much about the SEALs because they are part of the Navy, and I'm in the Army. It's a entirely a different branch. Somewhere in missions, we may have to cross each other and do stuff with the Navy, but on a day-to-day basis, we don't get to work with them. The Army side, it has to be regular soldiers like myself. Then we have, if you want to be special, you go to airborne. You go to airborne school, then you get to jump out of planes, which I did. And then if you want to be even more special, you go to ranger school and you become a ranger, which is still regular Army, but they operate at a higher level, at a more intense level than the regular Army. If you want to even be better than that, then you can do special forces. Wow. And so special forces is the Army's equivalent of the Navy SEALs.
Okay, then that's quite intense, and that's great. That's great of the mentality and all those things, because it will help other people know that even my friends who are soldiers in Ghana will get to appreciate that you don't need to beat people to like enforce things. Maybe the other time you need to beat them is when they are my slaves, when they are from. The only people you need to beat are Gonjes, Casines.
You are right. Oh no! You can't.
You don't need to beat my slaves, but that's quite good.
You are allowed to beat Gonjes and Casines.
And not Sisales.
You can beat those people, but Bimobes can't touch that.
That's fine. So the other thing has to do with all these things that you've like mentioned. This is quite intense, and it comes to tell you that people will even take this information and know that that's not the end of the world. They can still do more, because I think there's that kind of like consistency in terms of times you feel like you want to give up, and something will come out to help you. From the movies, you just wanted to give up, but you found music. When you found your SKY and Oja drums, like it was like something came up, you had to go to school. Now you are in school, you've gotten Inactus and all those great things. And I believe it was through Inactus that I could quite remember when Anna, that CEO, she wrote to Inactus, and she said she wanted like people to do national service.
Yeah.
So I think it was a connection that led you to start sharing.
Exactly.
Then from there, you were just walking someday in school, and someone said, "Okay, come and register." So that divine connection that tells you that there's something bigger for your life, and that's why you're a change maker, because your life alone can even change people. Not today, but in even the next 10 years, someone will sit back and pick your life story and say, "Wow, if this person has gone through this, I can be able to do that too." So tell me, like, do you have some message for young people who are watching You have some message because this is going on our YouTube, like Facebook. We're going to put it on YouTube, and I'm going to make sure that Cyber plays it to our local people in like Tamale on Sagani TV and the TV stations I have, so that they will know that, especially what you said. When you just see someone in America, all you think is, Master iPhone. I want iPhone. and it's tough. It's tough sometimes because I've been to like some of the places and I've seen how people suffer. But when we just sit down,
Yeah.
go to my phone, one kind of use phone, use laptop, that's fine. So, do you have some message for our young people?
Yes. For message, I always have messages.
Yes,
I never run.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You see, what our young people don't understand is really simple, and it's not their fault that they don't understand. I think I understand because I've gotten so many opportunities in my life. I've met so many people. I've worked with different kinds of people. So I've gotten exposure with people from different areas. Like I was in Korea for like 8 months.
Wow.
So I look at it. I've worked with some Chinese guys. I've worked with, or for white people, I work with them every day. The Hispanics, the Latinos. I realized that we all have different ways of doing things and different ways of seeing the world. So I realized that most of the things we do in our societies back home is about right and wrong.
Yeah.
But that's actually not what life is about. It's not about who is right, who is wrong. It's about perspectives. I have my side of a story, you have your side of a story. There's always more to a story than what we know. Unless you take your time to investigate things and understand, you do not really understand things. To set an example, like take religion, for instance. The level at which religion has destroyed Africa, Africans probably may never understand it because they have not given themselves a chance to question things that they have been told. They have not given themselves a chance, that's us, to actually evaluate our daily lives, how we live it, the things that matters most. We do not understand those things, and that's why when we are growing up, we just do things haphazardly. We do things because others are doing it. We do things because our parents say do it. We never take the time to investigate the things we do. But it's very simple. It's about the mindset, the perspective you have, and the choices you make.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. When we understand that, you see, I'm going to say something most people consider to be very controversial because I say it to a lot of people, but I don't think it's controversial. I believe that everyone's physical appearance, the things they do, and their level of achievement, 90% of the time, is a direct reflection of what they harbor in their brains.
Yeah.
Because all creations, even the creation of God himself, was once upon a time just a thought.
Yeah.
And so, like, the things you do, like how you have brought yourself to this level that you try to bring people together to foster change in the society. Did anyone carry you to that level, or you struggled around and maybe got a little bumps here and there, but you did most of the work yourself, and it was your initiatives that brought you to where you are? And I bet from what I know about you and how I know you, is your initiatives, is your hard work, is your brain work.
Sure.
You see, but most of us in the societies, we don't understand this. We sit and we blame the government for our situation. We blame our leaders a lot. And yes, our leaders cannot be exempt from the blame. But at the end of the day, everyone's situation is directly a reflection of their mental state.
Wow.
If you think of yourself as a Zuku,
now Zuku,
you won't even, you won't even see the to read. You won't see the need to study because you consider yourself a Zuku.
Yes.
So you never know anything.
Right.
But when you consider yourself intelligent, what you do, you try to live up to the expectation that you are intelligent. And that's how you get intelligent. So we throw words like, oh, fake it to make it. And we don't understand the meaning. We throw things around like, oh, God help those who help themselves. Then we turn around and say, oh, God's time is the best. They are contradictory. You cannot say God help those who help themselves. And then turn around and say God's time is the best. How do you know when God's time will be?
That's true.
God's time can be right now.
Yes.
So if anything you conceive in your brain, you act on it.
Sure.
And you think about things, you envision yourself, okay, who am I? Who do I want to be? In 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, where do I see myself? Okay, I see myself speaking, let's say, in a crowd of 10,000 people. Okay, if I want to speak to a crowd of 10,000 people, what can I do? And that's how you begin ordering yourself towards speaking to a crowd of 10,000 people.
Great.
So I see life in that regard, and it's unfortunate. It's not our fault, but the way we are raised, we are brought up, and the things we are taught in school and how we are taught is wrong. That's how I feel. And I think critical thinking should be a major course in schools. But no, they would rather prefer something like religious and moral education. And I'm like, if you're a human being and you need someone to tell you killing is not good before you know killing is not good, you have a problem.
You have a problem.
See? Yeah, because the way we are created is something that is part of us. We grow up knowing good from bad.
Bad. Great.
It's poor choices that make people do bad things.
I think today you are now coming back to your inactive days. You are inspiring us. You are just firing all up and down. That's good. Yeah. That's just, I think that is what we need to do to succeed in life. So I want to share some pictures with you. So I'll share my screen and for us to see your action, some of the actions. Hope you can see this.
That was actually in Korea.
In Korea, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
We also have, okay, I saw this picture, this one. Were you the one?
Which one?
Okay, let me just share that one too. Okay. This one. Can you see it?
Yes. Yeah, that was me.
Wow.
Yep.
So great. The man himself in action. That's great. Wow, that's okay. So I think you've done a lot, and we are super proud of you. And we believe that young people, just like you said, will take their own destinies in their hand. Then once they take their destinies, like what I do, I always plan, prepare for the next 2-3 years. Then based on that preparation, I pray. I use that preparation to pray. I think that is what exactly you are saying. If you don't plan, you are just sitting down. God's time is the best. Every day you are sleeping.
Exactly.
The best time God will give you is to let you die. Your death time.
Exactly.
That's just the time that God has for you. So He's waiting for you. You are there. God's time is the best. You are doing
God's
shakara.
time is the best. And
so that's
now,
so it's been quite a long conversation. I think we'll do multiple of this. Anytime you are free, we can just do more because we want to, as much as, like I say, and this has inspired me too. Like all the things you've shared, there are things I didn't know of, but you've inspired, like telling me like how you failed from 1, 2, 3 things, and now you are back on track. And
for failing there, we failed, sir. I even did galamsey at one point.
Huh? Tell me about that. Which one? Boy.
So in 2010, wow. I got admission to T-Poly in 2010. Yeah. So after the first semester, I had no choice because I couldn't buy books. I realized that some of the lecturers were, let me say, well, I don't want to insult some of my lecturers because I liked most of them. So I would just let it slide. But the way they were behaving wasn't fair. Most of them made it in a way that if you don't buy their handout, they deliberately gave you weak passes.
Wow.
You see? So I was really hurt at most of them because I was like, come on, if I work hard to get something, don't say I didn't buy your book, then you give me a weak pass. You have no idea my financial situation. I'm just struggling to pass through. And so I was offended. I was like, damn, okay, then I have to find a way to get money to buy books.
Wow.
I looked around, there was no movie career to give money. Music wasn't giving money. Wow. I was like, nah, okay, let me go do galamsey. And I had one of my family brothers at Kenyasi.
Okay.
So I went to Kenyasi and we hand dig the piece ourselves. We dig deep and then we go this way, like 3 light poles down, and then you dig like brass and then you go in. And that's when I realized the dangers in those things and what people really go through when they go down south. I was shocked. You go in there, the piece can overflood at any time. And most of us, we don't know how to swim. And you're even in a pit. When it's overflowed, you're gone. Wow. We will go there and dig in the pits. Some of them, sometimes they collapse.
Wow.
So, and I saw my own share of atrocities. Some of them are so graphic, I wouldn't want to talk about them. But I will say when I survived it, and this is the funny part, in the end, I couldn't even get fare back to Tamale.
Wow.
That my family brother went to our pit with dark and broke stones. I even have pictures of those ones too. Wow. And we brought the stones out and we were happy. When they came and did the real test, it was empty stones, no gold. Oh. It was time for me to go back. So there was one pit that they already had, they were getting money. Yeah. Their stone had gold in it. So that my family brother, because he was doing it for long and he knows people, he went and did connection and they allowed him to work in that pit. And he got lorry fare for me to go back. Like I would have gotten stuck there. I came back the same way I went. No money to buy books. And so I was really thankful to God. Some of the lecturers, by that time, after the first 2 semesters, they realized that, okay, this guy was trying. And some of them, like one in particular, Mr. Bright, I don't know if he's still there. He used to give me handout. Yeah, he used to give me his handout free.
Wow. I like
he was
just a gentleman.
Yeah, he was like, this guy, you're very good. You're trying. You get the handout free. And I was happy. And Chidima would buy some for me and Mother would buy some. Yeah, so it was really, really interesting.
Wow, 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 wow. That's quite interesting. So which action was this? Was it real action or training?
Oh, it was all training.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the way we train like we fight. We train like we fight. Yeah, when we see us gear for training, you would think we are going to real combat.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So have you ever been to, yeah.
No, I've not been to real combat. That's another thing. Anytime you talk to people and, oh, you're in the army. Oh, have you been to combat? How many people have you killed? I'm like, no, it's not our job to go around killing people. The only time soldiers kill people is when they are fighting for their lives. Like we don't go around just shooting like that. And I haven't been to any war zone.
Okay.
At least not yet. Maybe in the future. I don't know. But
no Iraq, no Baghdad.
Nah, no Iraq, no Afghanistan, no Syria.
No. Wow, that's good. That's good. So thank you for your time. It's quite a long journey. And your final words, then we wrap this up and we'll do this next time. But thank you for your time. And I believe that with you, I used to see like once we were doing practice, inactive practice, once I switch your role and I bring someone in, I see the face. I just see you have some face. I know that this man is angry, is annoyed. But I used to know it. When you are angry, like, because of the rules, the team my aim was just to make sure that all of you present.
Yeah.
So it was like, at a point we had like even about 8 or even 10 presenters who were all good. But at the beginning, when we were presenting and they said, okay, James, and you had for your squad, you, Chidima, and Ashraf, right?
Yeah, Ashraf and Sophia.
In Sophia, you were like, you had your own group. So if I say, this girl, what's her name? This is Rufao or whatever. There were other people too, like Chenti. Was it? No, which group was that? And when I say, come and switch, and you see James will be there. The final words.
Yeah. It's really simple. I have really simple words. Life is not a straight line, and it will never be a straight line.
Right.
There's a lot of hills in life to climb. There's a lot of mountains. Sometimes you will fall,
Right.
but it's solely on you to pick yourself back up. Wow. It's okay to cry. We all do. Sometimes things will happen. You hide and cry. It's okay. After crying, what matters is you pick yourself back up and go back and continue from where you fell. Wow. You never quit, because quitters don't win. When you quit, you lose. Right. And when you lose, think about your loved ones. You are not only failing yourself when you fail. When you fail your loved ones. You fail your family. You fail yourself ultimately. And so we are fighting a war of life. And so when you fail, you take it as, okay, you've lost a battle, but there is still a war to fight. And so you lose a battle, you pick yourself up and you continue with the war. Right. I would say everyone says the United States has the greatest army in the world and they've never lost any war and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, when you pay attention to the battles, there are battles they have lost. But one thing they didn't do was quit. They picked up their losses, they cried, and then they continued fighting. And that's what we are supposed to do in our lives. When we stumble and fall, you get up, dust yourself up, and continue moving, no matter what it takes. Never give up, because giving up wouldn't give you victory. If you want to win, you have to continue to fight. As long as you have life, there is still a chance to win.
Wow.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's been wonderful.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the great words. I think from this you bring the inactive spirit back, the inspirational spirit back, the inspirational side of King James. Even though you didn't tell me about the King James, but we'll talk about that later. And I just want to thank you. And it's quite an interesting conversation. And wherever you are, may God keep protecting you and blessing you and giving you the strength to do what you do. But never stop dreaming. Keep moving, because I believe in you. Thank you, Sergeant.
Thanks so much, staff. I believe in you too, and I will stay in touch.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Right.
Thanks so much, my boss, my one and only. You're officially my mentor.
I hear. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, senior staff.
Right, right, right.